couple of the latest features. The great thing about now is we've done all the base work. Now we're getting into really cool geo nerd stuff. It's like stereo nets, drill hole and trench display, the ability to take non-spatial data into the field. So you could take a down hole table. So when you get to drill hole, you can see what the results were. Okay. All right. So that's all for mobile, and you can see just what a great thing it is already, and yeah, how easy it works. The next thing we're going to talk about is the outcrop mapping tool. So again, it's about field collection. So the outcrop mapping tool, it's kind of a halfway tool in a way. So what we're going for is we want to be able to take data in the field, bring it in. But before we did that, we had to create the desktop version to be able to bring an outcrop map in. Okay, so, and within a few months, we'll have the mobile version that brings it in. So just go through that. So what you have to do with outcrop mapping is, just make sure this is started. So we've got an outcrop mapper tool. So you set up an outcrop mapper project, right? So you give it a CRS, excuse me, and you create an outcrop mapper project. And what that does, it creates an outcrop mapper GDB in the background, and it creates an outcrops map, same as a drilling map. You can give it a DTM, so you're getting the Z values all the same of the same thing. You'll see as well, it creates a section template. Anyone that's used Discover currently, ArcGIS Pro knows the concept of the section template. So we treat these outcrops as sections. So every time you create one, you want to be able to create it with the same data type so you can quickly annotate it every time you create a new section. You don't want to have to create a new layer called structure points or something like that, okay? So here I'm doing a structure point table. So you see I've got dip, direction, and type. And I've got some image points there. So I want to collect some images or append them to a point. And here's some polygon data, just some base lithology. So you can put that in. So just populating the section template. So every time we create an outcrop, these files will come along with the outcrop, so you can start to annotate into them. So now I'm going to upload an image, an outcrop image. So I select my image, I load it, and it loads into a 2D map window, okay? So from here, you can see it's not rotated correctly, so I want to rotate it, and I reload it. And now I want to scale the image. So I have to do that with a known object. So an SWIG pick, I know, is 33 centimeters, and I measure that. And what it does, it just says, okay, there's 201 pixels on that. So the width of the image is this, because it knows how many pixels it is. Next thing I do is I select where the image was taken, the capture point. So you can see I collected this with mobile, but I manually entered the bearing and the distance and took the image and appended it to it. So you can see I've selected where this point was taken. It's got a bearing of 40, a distance of 5.5. And you can see in the outcrop window, it created some points and some rays, so it knows where that sits spatially. We know it's not spatially super accurate, but what it does give you is the ability to say, okay, it gives you geological context. So you can take this outcrop into the field. So you can do things like, okay, just say I was walking across this outcrop. I had a portable microscope, which is fantastic, really cheap, great device. And I've got those images. I took them from these points. Then I took some structure points. So like I said, this at the moment, you'd be populating this out of a field notebook, but within a few months, you'll be just coming in off Discover Mobile, okay? But we just have to get the desktop part right. So here I'm annotating my structure points, and you can see dip direction type. Now I can use the structure tool when it's in 3D to be able to put those discs in, all right? So here, just annotating, that was granite. That's an adit. And just some lines. So you can see you can take lines, give it unique symbology. And now what I want to do is I want to send this to 3D. So I'm going to use the ground as the Z. So because the Z on a GPS isn't particularly accurate, you want the image sitting on the ground. So what it does, it brings the image across with all the annotations that you've brought into, now it's in the 3D window in real world space, okay? So now I can apply the structure legend to those points. And you see I've used for the Z, the object. It's just the height in the object. It's not the ground layer this time, okay? So you can see now I've got my nice 3D discs using the structure tool. So you can see all these things are starting to come together. And now with the images, I'm going to configure the pop-ups. So all the images that have been saved out into a folder, I can configure them as a pop-up. So I can come in and look at those. So now I've got this big 3D scene, which works really well as a digital twin. So it can really encourage me to collect data, bring it in and store it. And you can see the context of that outcrop. Sure, not spatially super correct, but good enough for exploration. Okay, so that's the outcrop tool. So the next part we're looking at, what we pride ourselves on, is ability to plan. We've got planning for traverses, grids, so you can take those saw grids out with mobile now, drill holes, whatever you want. So we've put in the ability, we couldn't do it before. So if you've planned a drill hole, you can put it onto a section. So in this example, you'll see we're just putting in 3 planned drill holes, just using a collar and a fixed as and dip. Pretty easy to do. You could do it using collar and target or target and as dip. But in this case, we're just doing collar and as dip. And now we want to display these on a section. So we go to the section, which is section 3, and we just hit current active map. And the drill holes will appear in what their style was for the planned drill holes. But also you might want to make it the same style as the drill hole trace. So you just click that button and hit. Comes out the same as the drill hole trace and the ticks and whatever style it's inherited off the section. Okay, and there's your planned drill holes on section. So the last facet of our 6 activities is to communicate. We've got fantastic ability in ArcGIS Pro to section, to put it in 3D, to web serve it. So what we've done under communicate, we've put some section grid improvements in. Prior to this, your section grid had to comply with either an A4 or an A3, a known template size, your page setup. So what we can do now is we can just select, if you've got a templated area, that's, you know, it's not a unique area. In a sec, let's hit play. What you can do is just select the map frame. It knows what the area is, and then it puts the section grid on it. The other thing you could do is now you can display easting and northing labels on the one line, where before, if you had northings, it would display the northing, eastings would display the eastings. You can display both. So you might want to print that out and then digitize it in some other software. So you'll see, that's it. So that's it for all our new features for this release. It was a biggie. There's a lot of work went into mobile, so congratulations to our team who've done it. The great thing is it makes it looks so easy. That's how good it is, because it is so easy. So they've done a fantastic job on getting it like that. So we're far from stop there. We've got a lot more we want to achieve. So if you have a look, so what's coming up 1.3, so we should have another release around about mid-year. And the first thing we're going to do is, instead of putting the outcrop tool as just a flat section, we're going to have the ability to drape it. So if you've got really good LiDAR, or you've got, you know, just say it's from drone data, you've got a pretty reasonable DTM, you can just drape that. Or even if you've got bad DTM and you've taken a picture of the ground, so it's flat, that's okay. You can use the outcrop drape. That's the next part. So you'll see here in this story on the left here, you've taken a picture, you've annotated some features on it. And then what we do, you have to put in the height you took it off the ground, and it gets the bearing and the pitch off the camera, and it knows the range of the field of view of the lens of the camera. And so then what it does, it projects these rays from that point you took it to where it would intersect the DTM. And using that then we do a 4-point projective reprojection of that image, and then we drape it in 3D, and the results are pretty good. Okay, so that's the next step. So we've almost finished that on the desktop part. We'll just get that integrated with mobile. So all of this outcrop mapping, it's currently being worked on by our mobile team to you be able to take pictures in the field, annotate it, and then bring it in so it automatically comes in instead of having to do it on the desktop. Okay. Other things, again, still integrating with the mobile stuff and field collection. So with the legend tools, we're going to put line styles. So if you've got, if you're looking at 2D line styles for anticline or synclines or normal faults or thrust faults, you'll be able to do that nice and easily. The ability to support lineation rake, because where we want to get to is if you take structural measurement with a compass, we're going to put the ability on mobile to be able to measure the rake of the lineation, so you can take a bedding and lineation measurement at the same time. And then you can also take the movement direction. So we've got fonts and tools to be able to do that. So you'll see here, let's go back. So if you've got no lineation, it's just the disc. Then you've got the lineation, it's got the lineations on the disc. And then if you've got lineation and structural movement, it's got the lineation and the arrow movement of direction, okay? We'll also have ability to put in overturned bedding in the symbology. Collar plan, everyone's asking for collar plan. You can do it manually now, but we're going to make it automated. That's already been done already. Strip log and a correlation matrix. So if you're looking for Pearson or Spearman rank correlations with your geochemical data, you can do that using the correlation matrix. And that is it. Oh, and one more, the Fusion mobile integration. So the ability, before you take your data in the field, if you've got data that's come from Fusion or an SQL database that you want to go straight back in and not through Esri, you can tag those point files. They have to be point files. They can't be lines or polygons as that. And then instead of coming back through Esri, they can go back through the cloud and into your, if you've got Fusion, it can go straight back into your Fusion database or SQL if you've got it cloud configured.